villain, and I thought I thought you were far more than Miss Henry. Like, on some level, Miss Henry's just doing her job. You're like kind
Right.
of excelling in this new corporation that you're a part of, and I'll kind of leave it at that. You are, because you went from corporate gig to corporate gig. Basically, you went from real life doing the 9 to 5 with the name tag to basically the same thing in the spectral agent category.
Yeah, so I think the thing with Rosie is that, she's just a kid still, really, and I think she's supposed to be like 16-ish, and she just needs to find her place. She tried to find her place in the real world, and that didn't work out so well for her. So she's trying to find her place in the spectral world, and so she knows that she has to be the villain. And I don't think that she is. I don't think that that's who she is at her core, but I think that that is what is expected of her. So that's what she's going to give.
I would like to say your friends, if Rosie was real, your friends are terrible. They
really suck, don't they?
Yeah, like your friend just gets drunk and falls off boat side, and since you're all drunk too, fuck it, we'll just leave her. We'll just leave her behind. I was just like, oh, and just while we're talking about it, I think that's another layer to your character. I think as an audience, if you don't feel bad, like so the first time I watched it, I was like, yeah, because you're a mess, you're annoying, and nobody likes you. So that's why they were like, should we just leave Rosie behind? Yeah, fuck it, but it's just, let's speed out of here. But like the third time that I watched it, I thought that there was something incredibly sad and incredibly moving about that, which sets up for a conversation, or at least how you switch gears as an actress later when you have the conversation with Muriel about your scars. I think it holds significantly more weight because of your backstory when you are having that scene with Muriel. Like, to me, it meant a lot more the third time around. I should say second time, because the second time I watched it, it was with the commentary, and I was just enjoying MacLeod and Adam kind of talk about, their versions of how the movie came to be made. But when I watched it again, I was just like, there's something very tragic about that, and she is on some level trying to fit in, and you do. Like, you hit a 10 right out of the gate. You're mean. You want you want Jack out of the house, and then. So I guess let's just kind of talk about that scene. I'm not ruining anything for you, audience. So even though there wasn't a lot of screen time, and it's intercut with Jack and Miss Henry's conversation, I guess right out of the jump, did you and Natalie run lines like ad nauseum to prepare for that scene, or did you guys just kind of jump in? Was there anything ad-libbed for that scene?
There was very little rehearsal between me and Natalie. I think we both had our own ways of preparing. She would listen to a lot of music, and we were both in makeup for a really long time, so there wasn't a whole lot of time to prepare once our makeup was done. When you have such a low budget, you just have to go. And so, no, we didn't really get to rehearse that much, unfortunately. I think that we had both done our work on our ends, and I'm fairly certain all the words that are said there are Adam's words.
Okay. Well, because I thought, much like Jack and Natalie's on-screen chemistry, MacLeod Andrews and Natalie Walker, I thought you and Natalie had a good on-screen chemistry in terms of, I don't want to go as far as to say like mother-daughter-ish, but just kind of an authoritative figure that you were looking up to Muriel at one point, even though you were talking a lot of shit. You know, you were just like, you don't know anything. I'm here to save your ass. And then it kind of de-escalates a little bit. And that's so while we're talking about that scene, you should be proud of your work in that scene, because I think, not to say that scaring Jack prior, you don't have to, have some acting chops, because you were scary. Like I said, you're negative energy, and I was just like, I want her out of here. We got to get her out of here. And then I recant when I see that scene between you and Natalie, because you're switching gears. You are becoming much more human in that scene, and I think you're touching on two completely different spectrums as far as what we're talking acting. Being a monster and having a heart, like those are two polar opposites, and you're like, look, I look up to you. You're a legend. Like, what do I need to do? And that whole scar bit is great. And I know, like, you yourself didn't have a whole lot to do with that, but the way that you execute it and portray it is believable, Sydney. Absolutely believable.
Well, thank you. I would say that, 90% of my character homework that I did was based off of that scene, and it was 100% my favorite scene to be a part of in the film. I think that the chemistry really speaks to how great Natalie is. She's just a very easy person to be around. She's one of those people who, when she's around, she just makes everyone feel like it's a party. And obviously in that scene, that's not the case. But, just having that sort of energy around how I felt about her in filming was not so different to how Rosie felt about her in that scene. It was very much like, oh, I have a lot I can learn from you. And I did.
Any inspirations in that scene that you may have used when switching gears, or were you just like, this is me on some level, like I'm opening up to you?
Do you mean inspiration for the character, or?
For the character or that scene particularly, because, initially when you read that, you're like, okay, I'm going to be an evil ghost, right? And then once you get into the script a little bit more, you're like, oh, well, my evil ghost isn't really all that evil at all. She's kind of going through the motions, much to the extent that Muriel was as well, until she finds out that she's been lied to this whole time. But either or, the character or that particular scene, like, hey, I need to get out of this headspace of being a scary ghost, and I need to get into a vulnerable state. Or was it as simple as that? Like, I'm an actress, and that's how I get down. I don't need no stinking inspiration, Sean.
I think that I really tried to dig down and find the humanity of the situation, just because she's a spectral agent and not living anymore doesn't mean that she doesn't have human emotion, especially the way this film is written. So I just tried to dig down and remember to what it felt like when I was 16 and when I needed to learn something, but I also felt at the same time like I was the best there was at it. And just those human emotions. And my number one inspiration, and I told Adam in our very first conversation who I thought the character was most similar to, was Emma Roberts' character in We're the Millers.
Okay, yeah, no, I see that. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, where she's just sort of like, middle finger to everybody. Oh, it's actually because I'm really lost and scared and I need this family. So that's what I really drew on as far as outside inspiration.
Well, it definitely works. And when you say that, like now when you're telling everybody that this is bullshit and it's all bullshit and you guys can be bullshit together, I see that. Now I see a little Emma Roberts were the Millers, and it's like, oh, well, she didn't get what she wanted, so time to stamp our feet and go away.
Right, exactly. And you know that it's not because it's not what she wanted. It's because she's hurt. And what do people with big egos do when they get hurt? They take it out on everyone else.
Yep, I did it today because I do that all the time. I'm just a terrible person. It's not my fault. It's your fault. No, you're right. I am, as one of my exes would put it, annoyingly self-deprecating, which I didn't know. I didn't know that could be like a check mark against you. I thought just being completely transparent about, just, hey, I'm not anything super special. I thought that was lovable and endearing, and it turns out it, I guess, rubs some people the wrong way. So
hey, you learned something from it.
Yeah, well, too bad I didn't correct it. I don't know how to not be mean to myself. I don't know. I use it as almost like I think everybody learns differently, and everybody drives themselves with a different, whatever you want to call it. And when I shit on myself, it's just a different form of motivation. That's all it is. It's not like, I mean, some of the stuff I do believe, like this podcast, yeah, it's mediocre. But I don't know. I found out that not everyone likes that, and I thought that, hey, I'm showing you that I'm a vulnerable person, and I don't think that I'm right all the time. In fact, I'm wrong almost all the time and right occasionally, just occasionally.
I relate to that to some extent.
It's just better. I think it makes you bulletproof to some extent. Like, they can't make fun of you if you're already ripping on yourself hardcore. Another thing I wanted to ask you before I will not keep you long. I promise I will not keep you over the allotted time. So at the time, so this was about a decade ago when you shot this film. I'm kidding. It was about 5 years ago. When you shot this, it being your first independent feature, same question as MacLeod. This being your first independent feature, not for him, but for you, what was the biggest takeaway? Like, where you walked away and you were like, I'm glad that I was on this project because, and it can be something as simple as like the people that I met, the relationships that I formed, that's it, end of story. It can be, well, I learned this as an actress, or I learned this about what it takes to be a DIY film like this, and you have to cut corners, or you have to do stuff that you didn't sign up for, whether it be hold a camera or whatever.
I would say that 75% of what I have learned from my experience with this film happened long after we called cut. I think that when I was in the process, when we were filming, there was a lot I learned, sure. I learned about low-budget filmmaking and about how you're all going to be in this one small house without an air conditioner for 12 hours, and that can be grating.
Yeah, I think Michael said that they somehow found the hottest house possibly to be in Cincinnati, the DP, Michael Potter.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the hottest house, but it was definitely, the weather was not in our favor for that. But at least it didn't storm and mess up our sound that way. But I learned a lot on the set, and yes, I didn't wear nearly as many hats as Adam and MacLeod, but like on any indie film set, I was a PA, I helped order lunch, I held lights, I did all of the things you would expect someone to do on an indie film set. I brought my own wardrobe, all of that good stuff. But it was really the afterward process, and I would say the biggest thing that I've taken away from the film is my friendship with Adam. He's such a wonderful kind-hearted, creative, intelligent. So I could go on and on about how wonderful he is. And I'm so lucky to consider him a very dear friend now. But through that friendship, I saw just how much one person can put into a project. You know, signing on